All right. Hi there. We're back. This is the Eastern Volleyball Network. My name is Kevin Knight, and I'm sitting across the internet from Grand Ren, ready to bring you content you didn't know you needed on the Myrtle Beach Open, which happened a couple days ago. So I guess without further ado, we'll start with the results and how everybody finished.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about it being the content we didn't know we needed. I didn't know we needed it, but here we are. All right, so first place from the event, Adam Roberts and Trevor Crabb. Second place, Kevin Knight, TJ Yurko, not Jerko. Third place, Nick Lucena, Taylor Crabb. Third place, Brett Greiner, Brian Tillman. Fifth place, Andrew McMurray, Jeff Samuels. Fifth place, Brian Dirks, Ian Kapp. Seventh place, Matt Heath, Piotr Marciniak. Seventh place, Pat Cronshaw, and David Arnold. Ninth place, we have John Sutton, Phil Dahlhauser, Angel Dache, Jason Madero, Ben Ilfeld, Luke Parks, Austin Banks, Johnny Lutgen. 13th place, Eddie Mushikian, Will Rodriguez, Drew Bidlin, Matt Helmick, Joey Pate, Graham Wren, Caden Nepper, Brett Anima. 17th, Joe Goodwin, Dave Fisher, Mitch McDowell, Marshall Rooney, Bodie Eanes, Josh Lanier, Matt Hazel, Scott Hederman, Pete Divonair, Mark Fornicari, Daniel Joyner, Taylor Morrill, Zach Martin, Eugene DeJesus, Matt Miller, Aaron Wiggins. 25th, Scott Schwartz, Adam Hyatt, Diddy Kaimal, and Kai Dunstan. Ezekiel Isidoro and Giora Sella, Colton Williams, and Parker Beam, rounding out the 2018 field. So without further ado, we'll talk about the first place team, Adam Roberts and Trevor Crabb, and their path. They won their first match against, I believe it was Austin Banks, Johnny Legend. They then beat Pat Cronshaw, Dave Arnold. They then, in the winner's semi, round of 4, they ran into Kevin Knight and TJ Yurko. So I'll let you take it from there.
Good match for us. So TJ and I started our day against the Florida boys, Myrtle and his guy. TJ played him against him before, so we know what to do. And it really kind of came down to ball control for us. We started out really cleanly, and TJ was able to exploit some of the bigger guys' tendencies. To get to Adam Roberts and Trevor Crabb, we had to play against my old partner Brian Dirks and his guy Ian Kapp. Ian Kapp, if you remember, what is it?
The Durkee sandwich.
Yeah. Ian Kapp, if you remember, he came in second in both the doubles and triples of Grass Nationals. So he's had a stellar grass showing, and we were all kind of curious how he'd do on the beach. Interestingly enough, Brian Dirks actually taught Ian Kapp and coached him back in the day. So that's kind of a cool link that he gets to play with him now. It's not quite a father-son, but it is in a way. Yeah. Brian Dirks is actually the one that gave me kind of my first bigger call about 2 years ago in 2018. So it's really cool to get to play against that guy. It was a battle in 2 sets. We were down 9-6 in a set to 15, and had a massive rally at 9-6 to somehow bring it back to 7-9. And from there, I think I got a block, and TJ got an ace. So it was a really, really cool back and forth match. And we ended up pulling that one out, much to the chagrin of Matt Helmick, who picked against me in the prediction video. So that was pretty awesome. And then against Trevor and Adam, I mean, the thing about Trevor Crabb is he's probably one of the best in the world at doing his job, like from a blocking perspective, from a serving perspective, from a setting perspective, from a side-out perspective. But he isn't one that just completely can take over a match on his own. So he will rise to any occasion if he's the one under pressure, but he isn't going to completely shut down an attacker like Phil Dahlhauser might. And he's not going to go back to the service line and just put you off the court with monster serves. So that actually kind of played toward it helped us out because we knew that to beat them, we had to be as consistent and then just hit a couple monster serves from the back line or a couple, truly amazing digs from my guy TJ. And it was 3 sets to 15, which kind of also, again, plays towards us because the fewer points, the more likely an upset is to happen. So TJ was absolutely stellar in the entire match. They kind of started out splitting between us in terms of serving, and then towards the third set, they really were trying to pick on me, and TJ did an amazing job setting me, and I had a great match against them. Adam knows my tendencies, but I've been working on a line swing and a cutty, and that really helped open up some of my options. And we ended up pulling it out, I think 15-12 in the third, and I mean, it was just unbelievable because those two are both phenomenal players. Trevor is truly world class, but Adam's been on the main draw for a really long time, so he's definitely a quality player himself. And I think they probably had a little bit of a down match for what they're capable of, and we definitely played at like a 9 out of 10, both of us. TJ from digging and serving and setting, and then me from serving, blocking, and setting out perspective. Is about the best we could have been. And then unfortunately later on in the day, I was running back from my car with my phone charger, and somewhere in there I pulled up and felt my hamstring kind of go. And I don't still to this moment know exactly if it was a cramp or if it was a pull or something in between. I still have a stiff and sore hamstring, but obviously if you watch any of the videos, I was not the same after that. And so that sucks. TJ somehow got us through a miracle of a semi against Brian Tillman and Brett Griner, going on to every single ball. And and he actually pointed out in that match, I think he pointed out that I had 6 digs without moving, like against Brett and Brian. Completely not cramped, either cramped or pulled hamstring. I was just like falling over into balls and digging them up to TJ, who would then just back pokey into the back line. So that was probably one of the more fun matches I've been a part of, aside from the excruciating pain. And then the finals, it just wasn't close. They knew how to exploit me, and I mean, hats off to them. They were just beating the teams in front of them. So that was our day. I mean, we got to play against Phil Dahlhauser and John Sutton, and kind of, you know how that goes. He serves Phil's partner, and there was some pretty decent wind during that match, and that really helped us out from the service line. So we got past them, and so I ended up beating some really amazing players. Really fortunate that I had such a good day with my guy TJ.
All right, moving on down the list of finishes. Nick Lucena and Taylor Crabb finished third. I think they put up maybe 3 blocks on the entire day. I think they went into the day deciding that they were not going to block at all.
Per an Instagram post.
Per Instagram post, yes.
Which I'm sure that's funny. They stuck to it.
Yeah. Then let's talk a little bit about the 5th place teams. Andrew McMurray and Jeff Samuels, started their day off, won their first match. They then ran into Angel and Jay Madero and lost a.
I was just going to say who won this event in 2017. So very good team together.
Yeah. Lost a close one in 3. So, kind of an early losers bracket descent for them.
Yep.
I mean, not totally unexpected. We did end up making that pick, but that was the round of 16, which, going down after the round of 16 and pulling out a 5th is
a long day.
It's a long day and it's a lot of work.
Came back to though.
Yeah. So they came down and they beat somebody, and then they beat myself and Joe Pate. They then went on to play. Their next match was Phil Dahlhauser and John Sutton, which they also won in 3.
Yep.
Using the same described strategy as yours truly, Kevin Knight.
Yeah.
That was the 9th place match. They then proceeded to play Pat Cronshaw and David Arnold in one of the more entertaining, if not the most entertaining matches of the day.
I wish we had that one on film. It was either my match versus Adam or that match Dave.
Right. So I would say almost for sure the 2 most entertaining matches of the day happened at the exact same time.
Yeah. Playing on courts side by side, basically.
Yeah, because it was a lot of really, really scrappy defense on both sides. playing around big blocks. Pat Cronshaw is a springy gazelle at 6'7", and everyone knows who Jeff Samuels is. But kind of the wild part of the match was that Jeff Samuels, I think was going through some cramps or something, was not feeling really good at all.
Yeah.
And Andrew kind of put him on his back. They dropped set one. They were doing, they were sometimes faking a switch and serve receive, sometimes switching and serve receive, and trying to get Andrew the ball as much as they could. Andrew was going nuts on the defensive end. It seemed like.
What I was going to say. There's a stretch in that tournament against Pat and Dave, and then even a little bit against Tillman and Brett, where Andrew was every bit as good as Taylor Crabb or Nick Lucena. I mean, and I'm not saying that to be facetious, but like he had multiple rallies where he would have like 4 or 5 digs on over line shots or hard swings that were just like highlight reel digs. And obviously he was only able to maintain that level of play for, a match or, 2 sets or whatever. But he had some stretches there that were just unbelievable. This is all from what I heard, and I did look over and I got to see some of this after our match ended, but it was just like jaw-dropping play from him from a setter perspective, from a taking over a match perspective, and from a defensive perspective. I mean, he was truly like on another level for him.
Yeah, like it definitely started out as, he got a few digs on some hard-driven balls, putting a platform on it, and then all of a sudden it seemed like Dave was, smashing the ball more angle, and Andrew was kind of sliding in with a one-arm stab move, and it was up in the middle of the court. You're just like, what is going on?
It was big dick.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a fun match to watch. Next, let's talk about Brian Dirks and Ian Cap.
Well, real quick, this is going to be interesting to you, but Andrew actually told me that of all the partners that he's played with, and he's played with quite a few, Jeff Samuels was actually the best mental partner for him. So Jeff was incredibly encouraging and kept Andrew out of his own head and kept him focused on the next point. And I just thought that was fascinating because Jeff is, he's a little out there from time to time. He's kind of in his own zone. And for whatever reason, the two of them clicked really, really well. So it's kind of cool to see them rise to the occasion against some great teams.
Yeah, possibly bonded over some funky hair.
Of course.
Yeah.
So what were you going to say about Brian Dirks and Ian Cap, who we sent our second match?
Yeah, they were the other 5th place team. Dropped to you guys.
They had a long day too.
Yeah. Well, that was the round of 8, not the round of 16, so not quite as long, but yes. They dropped down, and in their ninth place match, they beat, I believe 13th place match, they beat Matt Helmick and Drew Bidlin. So
yeah, we definitely called that one.
Yeah, definitely called that one. And then their 9th place match, they actually beat Angel and Jay Madero. I didn't get to see that.
Called that one wrong.
Yeah.
I actually did get to see some of that, and interestingly enough, because they both jump serve, they're big jump servers. They just served into the wind, regardless of whether it was going to Angel or not, or Angel or Jason. They were just serving hard into the wind and making the platform setters struggle with the amount of spin and the wind on the ball, and that worked really, really well for them. That was what ended up, I think, kind of undoing Angel and Jason, was that you had these really high spinning passes in the wind that they couldn't really keep in the system. And that was what they were able to exploit. And Dirks is known as a pretty solid wind player himself. That was probably one of his own first and only wins over Angel in a long, long time.
Yeah.
So really big win for Dirks and Cap. That was cool to see. And ended up going down, unfortunately, to Adam Roberts and Trevor Crabb, who we got through in our winter semi match.
Absolutely. Both 7th place finishes aren't that much of a shock. Pat and Dave, they seeded 7th, finished 7th.
I think we had them either in the semis or in the 5th place match, though. But
we did. Yeah.
They just ran into an unstoppable Andrew Missouri.
They did. Yeah, they did.
That was them.
Yeah, and then kind of the other 7th place was Matt Heath and Piotr. Matt played some pretty good ball, but hasn't been training much, and it's a long day to be receiving every serve.
Yeah, actually, he told me at the end of it when he was in that match. He looked over at Piotr and he's like, "How you feeling?" And Piotr looked over at him and he goes, "Matt, I'm very drunk." And Matt goes, "Great. This match is gonna suck less for you then." I think they kind of knew at that point that Matt had kind of run out of steam and Piotr had run out of tricks. But it's pretty funny that's how those two handled that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I guess the next thing to talk about is Austin Banks, Johnny Lutchen pulling out a ninth.
So we got to ref their first match, which unfortunately was against you and Joe Pate. TJ and I ref that, and the story of the match was just Austin Banks came out with his pants on fire, and you got the wrong end of him because he's known to be a really inconsistent player. Austin and I lost the first match of our day to Aiden Keeter, who's like a 16, 17-year-old stud from Virginia Beach that we probably shouldn't have lost to. And he came out and laid an egg in that one, and then he showed up in this one with John Lutchen, who's a sneaky big 6'4" guy, jumps really, really high, a little raw, but jumps really high and hits really hard. He came out with John Lutchen and absolutely just took it to you guys. And you kind of came out on your back foot, and then when they switched to Joe Pate and set to Joe Pate, didn't handle the pressure probably as well as he should have, and Austin got the best of you and got his chance to play against Adam Roberts and Trevor Crabb, which is what he came to do.
I mean, if I can interject real quick, in Joe Pate's defense, he gave up a couple points down the stretch, but I gave up a lot more points during the first set, so can't really be too upset about it, and definitely a joint loss.
I still almost chalk it up to Austin just really coming out ready to take it to whoever he was going to play against, as much as either one of you guys. But
and I think because I think both my game and Joe's game definitely we do want to hit our line shots, and we weren't particularly successful.
John said Highline is closed.
What was that?
I said John said Highline is closed.
Yeah, there were definitely had to work a lot more for those points and kind of let Austin patrol a little more freely in the angle.
Yeah. I mean, for the sake of time, though, so they got knocked to the loser bracket by Roberts, and then probably had to play through a couple teams, but they ended up getting Eddie Mushiki and Will Rodriguez, who I would say we would expect 8 times out of 10 to beat Austin Banks and John Lutchen. And that was a bit of a surprise.
I mean, I might go higher than 8 out of 10, but yeah.
So that was a little bit of a surprise upset for them, right?
Yeah, they it kills me to talk about, our one of our fellow content creators for the Eastern Valley Network, but they kind of came out. Eddie and Will kind of struggled a little bit, struggled in the wind, and Austin Banks went full hurricane mode, as we like to say.
Full hurricane Banks.
Yes, and then you combine that with a pretty physical guy at the net in the wind, and it's a recipe for a tough day. Shorter match.
Example, 15-point sets, man.
Yeah.
Like you just
anything can happen in the short sets.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie's a super cool dude. I think he's more than willing to admit that was just a kind of freak circumstance, and they played really well, and Will and Eddie probably didn't play as well as they expected. That's how that went. Who finally took out Austin and Johnny Legend?
I actually don't know. Yeah. I don't know who knocked him out.
Not a great finish, but higher than expected for them, and some awesome wins for them.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, let me think. We could probably figure this out, right? It wouldn't have been. I don't think it
matters all that much.
All right, fair enough.
But I guess at the end of our rankings list, I guess we can talk a little bit about the after party. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, we can talk about Caden and Brett beating Matt Helmick as predicted as well. We can wrap up with that. As far as
we picked those two to beat Maddie and Drew Bidlin in our prediction video and got some help for it. But these two have been looking really, really good, and obviously training together, and I guess they probably just overcame the big guy magic that is Matt Helmick.
Yeah, very true. Um, One other thing to touch on, I don't know if we predicted Pete Divonair to get a 17th or a 25th, but I don't quite remember. But he was originally signed up with John McDonald, and then managed to swap him out for whatever circumstance for Mark Fornicari, which was a pretty significant upgrade, I would assume.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know John McDonald, but Mark Fornicari is a pretty
really
good
tough
player,
lefty.
right?
Yeah. And
And
they gave Angel a scare in the first match of the day, I think 16, 14, and 3.
yeah,
The Angel got done, but that was they very nearly upset Angel and Jason the first match.
they gave Will and Eddie a bit of a scare too.
Yeah.
That definitely not. It was definitely a pretty highly competitive match. Both teams
So
fighting.
for those of you who don't know, Pete is a local kind of ornery Myrtle Beach guy. He's a dentist that has lived there for a long time, and actually was one of Nick Lucena's first partners in old school. He was a blocker at 6 foot, would run up in the old school game and block. And Nick Lucena says Pete taught him how to play down in Florida. And so again, for those of you who don't know anything about the Myrtle Beach Open, Nick Lucena has actually come back to Myrtle Beach. Most years he comes back and plays it with Pete Debonair as kind of a tribute to Pete and a coming home party. He just doesn't actually sign off for it. This is a really, really cool atmosphere, really cool vibe to have a guy like Nick come back. And then this year, obviously, was a really big reunion for all the guys that used to live and train in Myrtle at Adam Roberts' house. And it was Matt Heath, Adam Roberts, Phil Dahlhauser, and Nick Lucena, and then they obviously convinced the Crabs to come out and have a good time as well as Piotr. But the foursome there, they actually lived in Adam Roberts' parents' basement, which is a really, really cool area with a court in the backyard for about, well, Phil and Nick for 3 years, I think from maybe 02 to 05. Once they'd made it on the AVP, they moved out to Santa Barbara to train with the AVP guys. But Matt Heath, I think, lived there for 12 years with Adam at that Myrtle Beach house during some section of the year, and that was their home base. They lived and trained and breathed volleyball for years at a time. So for them to all come back, I mean, this was their old stomping grounds. It was really, really cool to interact with those guys, and I think it's kind of an unknown secret to most of the beach volleyball community that this kind of thing happens on a pretty regular basis at Myrtle. And I was lucky enough years ago. So I learned how to barbecue in St. Louis, and I shared that talent with Adam 3 years ago. I had restaurant experience, and so I was able to take my smoker out to his place, and I did a big cookout for him. And then he's now put that as kind of a part of the Myrtle Beach Open experience at his house. So I'm really lucky to kind of be a fly on the wall for these really amazing athletes that come in. And so in the background of it all, it's really an amazing atmosphere to be a part of, and to see these guys interact with each other and joke around and tell old stories is, I don't know, it's really special for me, but it would honestly be special for anybody that Adam invites to come stay and train and do the whole Myrtle Beach thing. So I mean, we went Frisbee golfing and we had a barbecue and we went surfing, and Adam is just a really cool, really gracious, really humble guy. And the guys that he brings are so much fun to be around. And they're different guys every year. I mean, Andy Benesh has been there, and Paul Lotman's been there. And Piotr was there one year. I mean, it's so cool. And if I hope that it kind of continues to grow and be more competitive. But he always holds the after party for the Myrtle Beach Open, which is open to everybody. And the coolest part about that, at least to me, is that your local guys that have just picked up beach volleyball and are competing in opens can come and rub shoulders with some of the greatest to ever do it. And you realize that they're all just human beings, and they all just want to have fun and compete and get better. And I don't know, it's unlike it's almost unlike any other event in the country. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on it, because I've had the privilege of being a fly on the wall by providing good quality smoked pork and smoked chicken and smoked salmon on a yearly basis.
There you go. Yeah, this was my first Myrtle Beach Open, and had kind of been this summer originally. Kind of to give a little bit of background about myself, I grew up in Virginia Beach, and started playing beach ball coming back from college in the summers, and like all through college, I only played in Virginia Beach tournaments. It was just the local Virginia Beach tournaments, and like I was playing A and double A ball. So I was playing at, every Virginia Beach organization that you could find, TVA and others.
Yeah.
And then out of college, moved to DC and, started training and doing all those things a little bit more seriously. And then started kind of branching out to where I would travel. Started playing first rights and last rights a good amount, was still playing a ton of Virginia Beach because that was like home base of operations. So it was easier. Couple of years ago, started making my way down to the North Carolina area.
Yep. Which is actually where Adam's originally from, High Point in North Carolina.
Interesting.
They moved to Myrtle Beach when he was a kid. But it is interesting. Yeah, he's like one of the main guys actually that come from North Carolina.
Yeah. So I made my way down to, I think, Wilmington for the first time probably 2 years ago, maybe 3.
I started seeing.
I guess this would be the 2018 season was probably the first time I made my way down to Wilmington. In 2019, I believe, was the first time I made my way to a Blue Sky tournament.
Yep.
Which was last year. And kind of going into 2020, before COVID hit, I was originally moving down to the Raleigh area, and I kind of had it on my bucket list of like, I'm going to go play in Myrtle Beach. I'm going to go play at the Windjammer. I'm going to go play a bunch of these other events that I haven't gotten the chance to, because anyone who's lived in DC knows the traffic is horrendous, and traveling for beach volleyball is obscenely difficult. And then with COVID happening, I didn't really get to do that, but it was still pretty cool to, check one additional place off the bucket list.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for you, you got to see and meet all of these like insane Olympic athletes in a social environment. Like they just are hanging out. You can do shots with them. You can, just shoot, shoot the shit in the wind, and they're just guys. it's really an amazing little gem. But
yeah, and then came down early on Friday. And, myself, Dave Arnold, and Dave's buddy Shepard decided that, Myrtle Beach is known for having the most golf courses per square foot in the country, I believe.
More than Florida and more than the little area in California that has a ton of golf courses. Myrtle's number one.
Right. And I guess kind of an offshoot of that is that I swear every couple blocks you'll see a putt-putt course. And Dave Arnold, myself, and his buddy Shepard decided that we were going to go hit the putt-putt courses. And over the course of Friday and Saturday, we played 72 holes of putt-putt.
Sidebar, if you need any scotch, Shepard's your guy.
Yes. Yes.
We won't go any more than that. But he was the star of the party.
Yeah. And let me just say, Dave Arnold is a savant on the golf course. He was unbelievably good at putt-putt. He's a good golfer, and then on top of that, you add the whimsical nature of putt-putt, and David's getting down into a squat or sometimes belly on the grass to get a read on these crazy putt-putt obstacles, and just hits some ridiculous shots. Pretty sure he won every round. Shepard had a rough day on the putt-putt course. Definitely didn't live up to Dave's hype, and then had a rougher time at the after party. But had a blast with him. What was that?
So he had a real rough time at the after party, and then the next morning, I found him. He just emerged from the bushes. Found out he had been dropped off at the beach access the next morning. He emerges from the bushes and stumbles back into Adam Roberts' house because he had forgotten his scotch bottles. You always get a story from the Myrtle Beach Open.
Yeah.
But anyway, we kept you all around here long enough. It's been about 30 minutes. But if you can make it out to Myrtle Beach, it's definitely worth coming to. And I think they're going to get better and better at it every year. Joe Goodwin does an amazing job with the tournament, and Adam Roberts does an amazing job bringing people in and making sure everybody has a good time. So I guess it's really cool to share that story, and as honestly just cool to reminisce on it with you. I had the tournament of my life. My guy TJ Yurko is just an unbelievable volleyball player, and definitely somebody that if he's not on your radar, needs to be on your radar coming up in the next year, because he's just an absolute stud. I mean, the guy's gonna be one of the next big guys on the East Coast, I think. Anything
All
you
right.
want to add before we let people go?
No, I think that's about it.
All right. Well, have a good one tonight, Graham, and can't wait to do another one of these with you soon.
Yeah, thanks for watching East Coast AVP, or thanks for watching Eastern Volley Network. Excuse me, the old name came back to me.
Okay, dude. Have a good one.